no, I'm late! What's up, man?
Damn.
Ew. It's a leaky.
It pops in your cat.
Let's fix.
We're working on my Infinity G37X. You good? Let's fix some shit. As you saw in the opening shot, Noah's car has an exhaust leak from somewhere around the catalytic converter. When he first starts it up, it sounds like gravel. It's a really cool aesthetic. So we fix with test pipes, with little J-bungs. I like that. Oh, this intro is fucking shit garbage, dude. It is. What the hell?
All right, guys. Noah's car's got some rust, as you can see up in there. Yeah, those are the flanges that are gonna suck to get to. These back ones should be okay, except the rust has almost turned these into like one piece. Like, what size is that? I can't even fucking tell. What are you doing? My best. I got the first one. The first one I showed. I went up here, kind of between the subframe and the lower control arm. You don't have much room, but you have enough. And I actually got that first rusty ass bolt or nut to crack loose, and it is coming off. So that's promising. I'll be here. One of the good news is that this car was just running for quite a while, so it's warm. That will help with getting some of these rusty bolts off, but I have never in this part of the country dealt with this much rust. I believe this car came from somewhere far rustier than our area. All right, guys. This here is the O2 sensor located inside the cap. We need to get him out with a 22mm wrench. We also need him out of the way so we can access that bolt up there. Net brother? Oh yeah, this feller does not want to come. Unlike me. We might need a persuader for this situation.
The Persuader V1 worked.
We got him. We got him loose. The heat shields around these cats are the most annoying thing I have ever seen. So I'm just kind of prying them out of the way to try and get more room to grab this O2 sensor with my wrench. Yeah, this is gonna take a while to get this O2 sensor out. So we'll get back with you once we've gotten both O2 sensors out. Okay guys, we got those two bottom nuts off on the 3-bolt connections up top, and we got the O2 sensors out. Took quite a bit because they were rusty. Hopefully yours won't be this bad. On both sides I just kind of went through here with the long ratchet with a swivel head, and I was able to slowly but surely get them off. Now I'm taking this bracket off that holds the two cats. It's gonna be a 14mm. This one looks like it might break, and I'm not using penetrating oil, even though I probably should. Yeah, I just got a bunch of rust in my ear. Why is that how that went? Well, it busted loose. All right, guys. What I ended up having to do to get to the second bolt up top is I had to break and bend the heat shield out of the way, because any of my extensions that let me put the ratchet here would just twist. They wouldn't actually provide the rigidity I needed to break that nut, which has been rusted on there for who knows how long. So yeah, I finally got this up in there, and now I'm just kind of cranking back and forth very slowly. I also had to use a 9/16 socket because the rust had expanded the nut to a really odd size where a 13 wouldn't fit and a 14 was too big. Hello there, it's Simon under the car. I was able to get 2 nuts and bolts out on each side. The 2 I got out on this side were fairly easy, but the last one is blocked by the steering shaft. So we're gonna have to strap the fucking seatbelt around the steering wheel and then disconnect the steering shaft and then get at that last bolt up top. And then on this side, it's the drive shaft to the 2 front wheels, to the front diff, that's an issue. So I'm currently trying to remove that. You need a 5/16 sized Allen, and I suggest you get an Allen socket so you can put it on a ratchet. And there's 4 of those. And when we get to putting this back together, I will give you the torque specs to put it back on. Now the good news is, if you don't have a fucking all-wheel drive, then you don't have to deal with this side's bullshit. It's just fine on this side. But you will have to deal with the steering shaft either way. even on the G35s, when I did this on mine, I had to deal with the steering shaft.
Hey guys, guess what? We ran out of time. We ended up just kind of calling it quits because we had other shit to do that day. And I didn't realize how rusty the underside of this fucking car was. So Noah took the Civic home, and I'm back working on this hog today. What I'm currently doing is removing the 4 Allen bolts that I mentioned before from the front drive shaft. It's spinning in place, so I have to cram a pry bar in there. That's pretty fun. And after I get those out, I will find out if that's enough room to get to the inner bolt on the passenger side header flange to this fucking catalytic converter.
All right, guys. I got the 4 Allen bolts holding in the drive shaft disconnected, and I scooted it just a little bit to the left, and I believe that's going to give me enough room to get to this top corner bolt that you really can't see because it's way up here. When you're looking at your car, you'll know what the fuck it is, and you're going to look at it and be like, damn, I want to kill myself. I finally got that top bolt loose after about 20 minutes of trying. What I ended up doing is taking my 1/2 inch breaker bar attached to a 1/2 inch, probably 8 inch extension. And then I don't have a 14mm 1/2 inch drive socket, so I had to convert it down. I was a little bit scared that this would break because that bolt was tight. It broke one of my 3/8 extensions. I ended up going up through here, like I talked about, between the cat and the transmission oil pan. Drive shaft moved a little bit that way, and I'm gonna leave that drive shaft disconnected for reinstall because I'm gonna need more room to get my hand up in there. But yeah, that shit sucked. Now I'm gonna take it out, and then on this side, we get to deal with these. Can you tell which side of that used to be a nut? I really can't. I might have to get out a cutting tool for this, which is gonna be really frustrating. Okay guys, to get to the outer bolt on the driver's side catalytic converter, you need to disconnect your steering shaft. The bottom of your steering shaft looks like there's a 12mm bolt in there. You can get to it through here. But before you do that, you need to make extra double sure that you use your seatbelt to strap your steering wheel in. Because once you disconnect that, there's a possibility that your steering wheel can actually unscrew itself, because believe it or not, it is actually unscrewable. Run your seatbelt like this, through one side, out the other, click it in. This will keep your steering wheel in place. Make sure to make a paint pen mark on that part of your steering box, along that seam there, because that's the part that moves. Nothing above that moves. These steering shafts are almost always seized, at least a little bit. And so what I always do is get a short pry bar like that guy, put him up through here underneath, and then just beat on them with a persuader. And they will almost always come off without too much fight. And this is one of the worst rusty cars I've seen, and this still wasn't that bad. Okay guys, I had to cut these back 2 nuts off. There was no hope of getting any kind of wrench on there. But for now, we can celebrate the small victories. I'm gonna use a pry bar so I don't get 12 different kinds of Tetris. And slide out from up above. Look at that, we fucking did it. Okay guys, here is one side. Now you can really see the rust that I'm working with on this thing. Couldn't get this cross beam off that attaches to both cats. Couldn't get it off of this side because there was not enough metal. The square just started spinning. These are the bolts and nuts that suck. This bolt snapped while I was trying to loosen it. Luckily it was threaded into this and not the headers. And this is the same bolt that I'm struggling with on the other side. Now I need to try and get the other side off. Having this out of the way will help a little bit. Okay, as you'll see, I have a little extension friend here, as well as a couple more 1/2 inch extensions there. And he's going down that way. Oh, that's weird. I have 3 of these like kind of swivel head extensions, but they're not actual full swivels. And you'll see that this bullshit goes all the way down to there. And I'm amazed at that Stanley brand conversion socket from 1/2 inch to 3/8. It has not broken. I actually managed to break that bolt loose without breaking any part of the extension. It took a hell of a lot of force, but it worked. When I first had this idea, I was taking a shit, just contemplating that bolt, and I was like, okay, the only way to get to it has got to be from the top. After hours of attempts of trying to get that last bolt on the driver's side, eventually I said, fuck it, and connected every 1/2 inch extension I have together and came at it from the top. And after some research, after this worked for me, turns out that's what everybody does. Kind of wish I would have known that before, but on my G35 that I used to have, I was able to do everything from below the car. So, I don't know, I'm stubborn like that. But save yourself the headache. For the driver's side top
outer bolt at the very least, if not the top outer bolt on the passenger side. Just get a fuck ton of 1/2-inch extensions, get a lot of them with the swivel head like I showed you, and just put everything you got into that fucking ratchet. I think the bolt's gonna break. It cracked loose and it was loose for a little bit and then it tightened back up again. So I'm gonna see if I can just break it, because once again, just like the other side, it's threaded into the catalytic converter, so I don't mind if it breaks. Here I go. So I'm gonna send her home. Yeah, I really hope that was the bolt and not one of my extensions or that conversion. Let's go see. Yes, sir. All right, Kings, we snapped the bolt. Let's go. Now all we have to do is, once again, use a cutting wheel and cut those 2 13mm rust blobs that are holding the back of the catalytic converter on.
Number 2, rusty fucker.
Now we're going in with the new. I'm gonna start on the passenger side with this one here. The camera angles won't be great since I don't have a PAL, and I apologize, but essentially there's still one stud left in both sides. And so we're just gonna line up the one stud with the gasket, of course. They won't be nearly as bad. I think install for the first time ever will be better than taking them out. Usually taking them out is the easy part.
These new fancy nuts that aren't all fucked off fit on those threads. They didn't look like they would, but they do. I think I'm going to put the bolts through the back, like so. Then just put the nuts on the front. That's my plan. And once I get this top part started with the test pipe in there, then I'll get back with you guys. Putting this stuff back together is a fucking dream. So simple. Just throw the bolts through the back, put the nuts on. I will have to get a wrench on the back, but because they're not rusted, I can just put a normal socket on them with an impact and tighten them down. It's fucking so much better. I'm just gonna rattle these guys down and then start on the other side. Quick note, the gaskets, even though they don't really look like they have too much of a different shape, if you put them on backwards, they will not reach properly. Do not try to force them. They will go on properly if you have it facing the right way. All right, this side's done. Once again, it was super freaking easy compared to getting them out. It took me about 15 minutes on both sides. Now I need to put my steering shaft back on using my blue paint line and the other alignments that I remember. I know the steering wheel didn't move because it's strapped in, and the wheels moved a little bit, I can tell based on my blue line, but I will be able to line those back up. And on that side, I need to reconnect my drive shaft. When I figure out the torque specs for that, I will let you guys know. All right, guys, I'm all finished up. There's the front drive shaft back in. I've been holding it still because it'll just kind of spin. I've been holding it still by putting a pry bar up behind those lines and then just kind of cramming it up in there. Not sure how well you can see this, but eventually it'll bite. You need to tighten these 4 Allen bolts to 29 foot-pounds. That is the torque spec for that. Now let's get this first start up, see if we fixed our gravel, and see how cool it sounds, and also see if it's leaking.
It appears that some of the just the crazy rust damage just on the Y pipe of the car has caused a couple small leaks, and that is where some of the volume is coming from. Under the car, you can really hear it, but out the back, it's a little bit quieter. So next, we're gonna have to replace that Y pipe. It's very rusty, and all of the heat shield clamps, the bolts have rusted away and are falling off. There's a lot of noise coming from back there as well. And you can see all these clamps, they all look like that. So there will be some rattling still. And I think just buying either a new OEM Y pipe or maybe going to a muffler shop and just having them make a Y pipe might be cheaper. So I don't know, we'll see what Noah wants to do. But as of right now, the gravel sound is gone and some of the leaks have subsided and it sounds a little bit more aggressive. Test pipes with stock exhaust actually sound pretty cool on these if you're looking for a quieter, just a little bit sportier sounding daily. Thank you so much for watching. I know it wasn't as fun because the camera angle sucked and Noah wasn't here for half the video, but that's how it goes sometimes. When we do all the work at my house, it's hard if we can't finish a job in a day. And this one was much harder than anticipated due to the copious amounts of rust on the car. But we fixed some of that, and we're in the process of making the exhaust sound really cool and not like it has holes in it. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Check out all of our other content. In the description, we have links to our passion projects and funny skits channel. That one's pretty cool. We have a link to our podcast channel. We got some podcasts on there. And we have a link to our gaming channel. We're talking about revising that and starting to make content there again. We'll keep you guys posted, obviously. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. We love having you guys around. Peace.